Welcome to the Hoof and Fang podcast. I'm Kirt Graves.
And I'm Maz Maddox.
It's April.
It is.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's snowing outside.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Damn it. Mm-hmm. So today I am enjoying a warm cup of afternoon coffee.
Yeah.
Apologies to the listeners for whatever mouth and or stomach noises that might result.
Hey, man.
But it's just one of those days.
Yeah.
The weather sucks.
Yeah. It's like, it's not even full snow. It's just like that icy crap that just like...
It's snrain.
Yeah, it's snrain. That's exactly it.
It's snraining.
It's the worst.
And apparently it's going to turn into real snow overnight, which is like great.
Yay.
So much fun.
Love that.
In April.
Mm-hmm.
After thinking, it is my fault. Because I just this weekend said out loud, I think we can start feeling like it's spring now. Because like all through March, I was like, guys, just wait.
Yeah.
Like we know there's still snow coming. And it did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we had a little bit of snow.
Yeah.
But like Easter Day, we were driving back and it was like, I think we can finally start feeling optimistic that like spring has sprung and we're done with winter.
Yeah.
So it was my fault because now it's going to snow again.
Yeah.
What fun.
I like, and my weather app psyched me out too, because it was saying last week that this coming up Friday was going to be 70. And I was like, man, I'm ready. Yeah, no, it was like, haha, like the next day it was like, JK, it's going to snow. You're stupid for believing me.
Yeah. It's going to snow, dumbass.
Yeah, exactly. It's like April Fools.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate April Fools.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that it's my husband's birthday.
Right.
Which is perfectly fine. All the stupid online pranks. Did you fall for any?
There was one that got me, and it was just stupid enough to where I thought they would actually do this.
Oh, that could be it.
Yeah. So there's a very old Nintendo system from like, late 90s, I think, called the Virtual Boy. And it was this really terrible idea that Nintendo had where it was basically like a goggle set that you put on your face, and the games were all like black and red. And it was like supposed to be like a virtual experience, but it just gave people migraines. Like it was the worst selling system they ever came out with.
Okay.
So Nintendo did a thing for their Switch console, which is like a handheld. They were like, oh, we're going to start importing Virtual Boy games, and you just hold it up to your face. And I was like, that's so stupid. Why would you do that? And I was like, oh, it's not real. But I could see you doing that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I fell for it for like 3 seconds. I was like, God damn it, Nintendo. Oh, this isn't real. But yeah, so that one got me. But other than that, no. Yeah,
any bit of good or bad news that came out yesterday, I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
So if something really happened in the world, please follow up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I didn't believe anything. And I kept going on to social media and just being like, why am I here? Like, I just need to just not play with my phone today. So yeah.
And yet, did either one of us think to do some April Fool's joke for the podcast? We did not.
We could have done something funny, but I also it's hard for me to gauge what's funny and what's like mean, you know, like I don't want to be like, oh, we're not doing queer stuff anymore or something. Like, I don't know. I don't want to like ruin somebody's day.
Right.
So it's really tough to like toe that line.
Right. Also, we don't want them to unsubscribe before we get to the just kidding part.
Yeah, exactly. Our Patreon goes down to 0. We're like, oh my God, we were kidding.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how's work going?
Stupid. Like it's really kicking my ass lately. And I brought up that we used to do really funny April Fool's stuff when we had staffing.
When you had people to play pranks on?
Exactly. Well, we actually would do, so I work in like a retail site, and we used to put up fake, not real things on our websites for people that just you weren't able to buy them. But they were so outlandish that it was clearly fake, so it was funny. But one of the funny things we did years ago was we had this onesie you could buy that had a beanbag attached to the butt, so you could just sit down.
Oh my God. Brilliant.
Right. It's hilarious. And like we had it up on the website for a good couple hours, and people were like, but really, I want to buy this. And I think we ended up actually getting them manufactured for a little while, but it was just a joke and it was really funny. And I was like, I kind of miss that we can't do that anymore because we don't have the capacity. But I was like, that is the kind of April Fool stuff. And I'm like, that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but now we're in like the darkest timeline, like beyond Skeleton Crew. I don't even know who I would reach out to attempt something like that. Like all those people are long gone.
You could just tweet at the company.
Yeah.
Probably, just as effective.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Probably. Well, I don't even know if we still have a social media person. So, I mean, I think that guy was let go. So yeah, it's grueling right now. And with the poopy weather and being overworked, my writing has taken like a back seat to a lot of things. So it's really need the sun to come out. Like
literally and metaphorically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I need the clouds to go away.
Right.
I need things to chill out. I need to see some flowers. I don't know. We'll get there.
Yes. For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the sun must come out.
Yeah, we're getting to that point. It's on the horizon. That the weather app keeps playing jokes on me, but it's close.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. What about you? Long week?
I just have, again, just like the things on my list that I want to get done before we leave for New York. So I'm just crossing things off one at a time.
Yeah.
Some things are moving around, which is fine as long as I get them all done by the time I get on that plane.
Yeah.
So
you can do it.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up getting the March audiobook out in March.
Yes, we did. I was so proud of us. We busted our asses.
It came out on Saturday.
Yeah.
So Shift is out in the world. So I hope people are enjoying it. Long awaited. Some folks have been waiting for number 3 for a long time. So
after I proofed that, I had werewolf dreams for like 2 nights.
Ooh.
It was very cool. Like one of the dreams I was monitoring like a newly Shift alpha.
Okay.
Because of the book, right? And like I remember very vividly like trying to look under a door and I could see wolf fur and I was like, oh, he's doing okay. Like just weird how that like implanted in my head. But because of that audiobook, I was like dreaming about wolves for like 2 nights. But yeah, it was good. I really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of nice to like tie the bow on that finally after all these years.
Yeah.
Like, nobody else will be able to ask anymore. Like, oh, are you ever going to do the 3rd one? Like,
be like, done.
It's done. It's out in the world.
Yes.
So
that is a nice feeling.
So still available to subscribers if they, I'm trying to think because I extended it a little bit, but yes, definitely if you're still listening today, you can still get that audiobook if you sign up as of today, I think through like Tuesday of next week.
That's fair.
So I just bumped it out a little bit since I didn't know how late we were going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you join at the Dear Listener level, you automatically get that audiobook. You get 40% off to all of our audiobooks that are currently in our online store. And then you will start getting chapters or episodes of the next audiobook, which we will talk about next week, once they start coming out at the end of the month.
Yeah. Exciting stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you to everybody who gave us their feedback about the change in how we're going to do the audiobook program. It was really nice to hear folks affirm that the plan was not crazy and that they still see value in it. So
yeah, that was nice because you never know. Like when you shake things up and do something a little bit different, either people are going to be like, dude, come on, and just pull out, or they're like, oh, okay, we're going to roll with it, see how it goes. And like most people were like, oh, for sure. Like that sounds fun. It works out. I was like, oh, thank God. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. So more to come on the audiobook program next week. What are we talking about this week?
So this week, so something kind of got implanted in my brain. We had an amazing email come in over the weekend, which really brightened both of our days. Like it was so nice.
Yes.
It was this awesome email from a listener talking about how, they love the podcast and they, binged everything, which of course is a huge ego boost to both of us. But one of the big takeaways that I heard in that email was that they weren't as familiar with like high fantasy magic occupational terms because they're like where they come from. It's just not very
prevalent. You're calling them occupational terms.
Yeah, it's when you are a professional magic user in these fantasy worlds, they weren't as familiar with it. So I thought it would be kind of fun to pick your brain because I'm a super nerd. So when I was reading it, I was like, oh, that's actually interesting. Like I would love to talk about that. So I figured we would do like not like a quiz game, but kind of like ask you what you think these magical occupations entail and the differences between them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Before we start, I just want to share a story from my young adulthood.
Okay.
Because I too am a nerd.
Oh, you're a big nerd.
I have some. Okay.
But differently.
Right. I don't know that I like the way you said that.
That's why we get along so well. We're both nerdy as hell.
You kind of said it in the push me into a locker way. So
You're like, okay, I feel
You're
threatened.
a big nerd. Like, all right. Okay. But I was in the back seat of my friend's car, and we were driving home from probably a rehearsal. And we got to talking about like an upcoming X-Men movie or something. Like it would have been around that time.
Yeah.
And like my friend said something about them having magic, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
And like very seriously, because I was
for
also
sure.
very tired. I was like, they do not have magic. People either have magic, powers, or abilities. And like they made fun of me for saying that for like a decade.
Well, you're not wrong though.
Yeah, but to a normie, to have somebody very seriously from the back seat be like, you got that wrong.
Hey, you have
Mutants
to speak
have
up.
Powers.
Yeah, those are totally. We can have a whole episode just talking about X-Men. Like that is a very specifically crafted universe. Like the magic and that,
and it's wild.
Yes.
We could have one episode about it, but there are literally podcasts with hundreds of episodes trying to explain the X-Men because it's wild.
Yeah.
If you're interested in that sort of thing, I recommend Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men. There's like 450 episodes at this point. I have not kept up with every single one, but I check in every now and again.
Yeah.
Like it is wild, the X-Men lore. And guess what? There are some X-Men that use magic.
Yeah, I was going to say magic is in it, but it doesn't behave the same as like other universes because it's X-Men is awesome.
Right. And X-Men is so expansive and has had so many writers that basically anything goes.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think wild is the best way to encapsulate it because it's been around for so long and it's changed hands so many times creatively that they just keep building and building. And then they do the thing that all comic books do where they like wipe it out and then come back in with totally different things.
Called a retcon.
Yes, a retcon. Exactly. So yeah.
A thing I know.
Yes.
Because I'm a big nerd.
We're both big nerds.
All right.
Like again, this is why we're friends. We're so dorky about very specific things. And that's
so I wanted to share that story to let you know at one point.
Yeah.
I probably would have known more about this.
Well, and this is like very specifically like high fantasy, more leaning on like tabletop gaming kind of stuff because these rules are very established in these worlds. But these occupations are also different depending on where you're pulling this information from. So like wizards are different and all manner of different high fantasy stuff. Like wizards in Tolkien are going to be different than wizards in, the only other thing I can come up with is She Who Will Not Be Spoken Of, but like her books, you know what I mean? So they're very interchangeable and there's things like sorcerers and witches are basically the same thing, but it's different depending on if people are using gender roles assigned to those occupations and stuff. So before we get started on that, I wanted to definitely clarify that a lot of this stuff is interchangeable. But if we really wanted to get super nerdy with it, there are established rules from like D&D, which range that was established between 1987 and 2003. So it's been very like 40 plus years of like this being locked into place. So we will get started with the baseline of a wizard because that's, I think, the one that's been around the longest in like D&D world. It's been around since like 1987.
Okay.
So what is your definition of a wizard?
Okay. I would say a wizard is a human who has some innate magical ability, but often has to channel it through like objects or spells. Like for some reason, I think of a wizard and I'm like, they need like a thing. They need a wand or they need a spell or they need something to be able to do magic.
Interesting.
But they need to have some like innate talent or power.
Okay.
Anywhere close?
So kind of. You actually are melding two different ones. So wizard, according to the baseline definition of it, is a being. It could be human. It could be anything. Who learns magic through study and discipline. They don't necessarily have to have an innate magical ability, but they can learn it. Okay. As far as tools, I didn't see any hard rules about them needing wands or anything specific, but I would love to drill into that because I wonder how that works or if there are set rules to where they have to have like a tome or a wand or something because it's pretty synonymous or they go hand in hand. So I wonder if there's something to that, like where it has to have a tool that gets funneled through the magic. But I know with various things they can do like either spoken words or something like that. But according to this, they don't have to have an innate magical ability. So like me and you, if we get dropped off in this fantasy world, we could learn magic. We just have to study.
Magic is a thing that exists.
Yes. You just pull
from it. And
we
can harness it if you know how.
Exactly. You just have to learn how to tap into it.
Got it.
What you were kind of leaning on, or according to the definition I was able to find, is a sorcerer, which, is a little bit more like what you were talking about.
So to me, a sorcerer is somebody who just has powers.
Okay.
And like can will magic.
Yeah. You're basically on the nose on that
you're
one.
Getting rid of like the having to do spells, needing an object to cast through.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, I will levitate that cup because I thought about levitating that cup.
Yeah.
I will open a portal because that is what I do. That sort of stuff.
I think we're aligned on that one because what I was able to find is that they have an innate power that they can. It's like they were born with that ability. It's raw talent. They're able to levitate, but they probably do need some type of discipline. But if they didn't want to, they could just be crazy.
Saying you don't need talent. You don't need practice.
Right. Yeah.
Very talented sports people can have a talent, but also need to practice to be very good at it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think your wizard and sorcerer were basically the same.
And like, do wizards have, or do sorcerers have like different like disciplines?
Yeah, that's from what I could tell.
Like, there could be like a sorcerer who's really good at elemental magic. Okay.
That's kind of what I was picking up on, where somebody could be, I don't want to use X-Men because we'll go off on a tangent, but somebody who's born with like, they can control ice specifically or something, and they can expand into that.
I guess for me, like I've just thought of warlocks as like one of two things.
Okay.
Either a gendered term for a male,
right?
A typically male or masculine magic user, or as a derogatory term for somebody who's a little bit evil.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But otherwise, I guess to me, they could be a sorcerer or a wizard. Like, I don't really think about the innateness of their magic. I just think they're either a guy or evil or both.
Nice. Okay. So kind of leaning more evil, but I don't think they necessarily have to be, but it would be easy to be evil.
Okay.
Warlocks pull their magic from otherworldly, often dark sources, often making pacts with like demons. So
okay.
I saw it defined as wizards who cut corners. So like if you wanted to speed up your proficiency, you can cut a deal with a demon, get some more dark magic, and you can do stuff, but you're tied to a demon. Like they typically pull their power from darker sources.
Okay.
So, I mean, I feel like probably most of them are evil if they're hanging out with demons, cutting deals, but I don't think they all have to be.
Sure.
But I don't know. You can play with that one.
Okay.
Are you familiar with clerics or paladins?
No.
Okay.
Now you say or. Are they basically the same thing?
They're close. One is more of a mage and the other one's more of like a warrior, but they have the same type of magical source, if that makes sense.
Nope, because now you've introduced mage.
Or like a wizard, I guess I could say, but they have they have a different magic source than like what a wizard or a sorcerer would have.
Okay, so if a paladin, I think is the warrior, right? Okay, so is a cleric more like a religious figure?
Yeah.
Okay, which that would make sense.
Yeah,
that's where cleric comes from. Okay, so but they specifically channel through like one object?
It's more like one power source.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain further, please.
So these specific people have holy magic, so they pull from the light, so not necessarily arcana or the weave or whatever like magical sense of the universe. It would be more of a divine specifically. So that could be holy in whatever sense the pantheon is in that world, but they are channeled through a divine religious kind of thing. So often they are the frontline defense of necromancers, undead, that kind of stuff. Like it's light. So a cleric would be a light wielding wizard, and a paladin would be a light wielding warrior. But he could bless his sword with the light and like take people down.
Got it.
So kind of fun. And then lastly, druids.
Okay. I feel like, so these are like nature magic people, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one's kind of easy. I mean, to me.
I think because it's based in other types of storytelling.
Right.
Like I've heard of druids because of like other types of mythology.
Yeah.
Just because it was adopted by like tabletop games.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't mean it doesn't still have that connotation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's people who pull their magic from nature specifically. So like white witches and stuff like that would all be druids, where they're pulling it from more elemental stuff or power of nature, animals, that kind of stuff. So druids are fun. Often they can like shapeshift and do cool shit like that.
Oh, we love a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Especially animal shapeshifters.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of our favorite thing on Hoof and Fang.
That's sort of what the whole point.
Yeah, it's our bread and butter. So yeah, that was just a fun little, not a deep dive, or us talking about magical stuff. I would actually love to hear from people like what they define these things are, or what they define these things in their head, or what their favorite types, or what they've seen in either shows or literature or whatever. Like there's so many different ways you could play with these professions, which I will stand by that because they're professions. So yeah, I want to hear people's definitions of these and what they think about specifically wizards using materials like wands and books and stuff. I'm now fascinated. Like I want to deep dive about that. So if anyone has any resources, please tell me, because I want to just go crazy about this.
Great.
So yeah.
Cool. So, well, thank you for that lesson in nerdery.
Nerdery.
Our very specific brand of nerdery. Speaking of nerds, in the good way.
Yes. We're not going to shove this person into a locker or anything. We promise.
Speaking of nerds and shifters, joining us today is another returning guest, author Kiki Clark, who wrote the Kincaid Pack series that I narrated and is complete. But she's joining us today to chat about the release of her new book, kicking off the Silver Oak Pack series. And as a fun surprise, we're actually going to be releasing a bonus epilogue from The Mobster's Mate, which is a standalone story that kind of bridges the gap between those two series. I narrated the book. It may or may not be out by now. This is an ACX thing.
Yeah.
So when ACX approves it and it shows up in Audible, that could happen yet this week. The book is done. It's being reviewed. So The Mobster's Mate could already be available in audio.
Nice.
And then this is a bonus epilogue that Kiki released through her website. And I narrated it, and it will be in our Patreon for any and all members, including the free members.
Yes.
So all you have to do is go sign up. You don't have to give us any money, but you can hear that bonus epilogue. It is very sexy times.
Love it.
So if you are not familiar with shifters with a bit of darkness and like, it's rough. So,
awesome.
If you're not familiar with the world, maybe do some research before you listen if you're not into that. But otherwise, if you know Kiki's books and you know these characters and you're really excited for some more sexy times between the two main characters of The Mobster's Mate, it is in our Patreon feed for all of our subscribers at all levels. So here is our chat with Kiki Clark. Welcome back to the Hoof and Fang podcast, author Kiki Clark. It's your second time.
It is my second time.
If this were a Fast and Furious movie, this would be 2 Kiki, 2 Clark.
You're fired.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Let's pitch that to Vin Diesel.
Yes.
We can get him on board.
Yes.
What's he doing these days?
I'm sure he's bored.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So we're really excited to chat with you because books have been coming out. We have some audiobooks to talk about.
True.
And next week is the launch of your new series, The Silver Oak Pack. So let's start with The Mobster's Mate.
Okay.
Which, as we've already said to our listeners, may or may not be out by the time this episode goes out.
Yay, ACX.
That's true. You just never know.
You just never know.
That's half the fun.
Right? And I'm talking about the audiobook specifically.
Right, yes.
The book is out. The audiobook is in ACX limbo until it's not, and then it's available.
Yes. Yes, I checked yesterday, and it was like one of 4 steps complete, and that was like verify cover art. And I was like, well, that's the easy one.
Okay, like we could have a 20-minute conversation about like what does ACX look like from your end, because I am like I would be fascinated.
You've never seen that.
No, they don't give us that much detail. They're just like, it's in review. Shut up and wait, narrator.
This is new with the maybe like last year, I think.
Yeah, like the end of last year, yeah.
Yeah, before that, it just would say in review, same as your end, I guess. But yeah, they changed it, so it now like says that there's like 4 steps, and this is the first time where like it shows what the 4 steps are that I've seen.
Okay,
but it's been a minute since. It's probably when we did Banger last summer that was like the last audiobook that I put out, and it
hadn't changed yet. Like ACX finally fixed all the bugs. And it was like working reliably for like a year. And they're like, we're going to improve it. And it's like, no.
Yeah, don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
And now there's all sorts of bugs and issues again. And it's like, thank you, ACX.
They never learn.
It took me a full day just to, set up the new listing for the upcoming book to send you an offer for it, because it was like, nope, sorry, there's an error. Nope, sorry, there's an error.
And then when I got it, I was like, oh, it's here. Except, nope, sorry, there's an error. It was like,
oh, it finally went through. Nope, just kidding.
Nope.
Now they're going to jerk him around just as much.
I was like, maybe I'll try it on a different computer in a different location and see what happens.
Yeah, maybe that's what the problem was.
I tried different computers, logging out, logging back in, closing, reopening. Like it was just and we're not working.
People are going to find this so boring, I bet, but who cares?
No, I think it's interesting.
Yeah. But like, and also like anytime you contact ACX support, one of their first things is like, did you restart the computer? Did you clear your cookies? So like I did all of that when we were dealing with issues. And I fucking hate it when I have to clear my cookies, because it logs you out of every website that you're usually just like ping right into.
Yeah.
And do you know how many fucking Gmail accounts I have?
Probably a lot.
I have so many fucking Gmail accounts.
And I have a ton, and I do less than you.
And they log you out of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I always lie and say that I've done that. I don't do it
because it's never really the issue. No. It's just a stalling tactic.
Right.
It is not ever the issue.
Yeah. I would have follow-up questions to be like, how are my cookies influencing whether or not your system is working correctly? Explain this to me like I'm 5.
Right.
Like, just get full Karen belligerent about it.
It's so annoying to have to log back into everything. And I don't remember some of those passwords.
Oh, I don't remember any of them. Yeah. Like every time I log in, it's a different password because I have to reset it. So my security is tight.
They're like, that's wrong.
No. And of course,
then you got to reset it, and they're like, you can't use a past password. And I was like, you just told me it was the wrong password.
Right.
See, that's a separate circle of hell. I'm convinced of it. Like, that is a new thing. They've implemented it just in this century, where they're like, one of the layers is you just have to keep trying to redo a password that you know, but it's not letting you use. That's my hell.
Are you saying we're in hell right now?
Yes.
We're in the bad place.
We're in the bad place. Yes. Great show. Go watch The Good Place if you haven't.
I haven't, but I want to.
Oh, you
should. So good.
It is so good.
Very, very good.
I love what's her name, the star of it. She's hilarious.
Yes.
So.
Kristen Bell is fantastic.
Yes.
But the whole cast is amazing.
Yeah. They really are.
And the writing is so smart.
Yeah.
And you feel smart watching it. And
really, that's the trick.
What's more important than feeling good about yourself as you watch TV?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yes, I'm watching a sitcom, but it's like a sitcom for, smart people.
Yeah.
For smart people.
And since we all wear glasses, we can be like,
yes, exactly. Okay, so The Mobster's Mate. Remember? The Mobster's Mate. So The Mobster's Mate is a standalone story, but in my mind, it bridges the gap between the two worlds.
It is,
which I'm sure was a strategy.
Yes, that was intentional. I know sometimes things happen by accident. You're like, oh yeah, I totally did that. But this was intentional, I promise.
I would tell you to lie if it wasn't.
Right, yeah. If you're like, it was an accident, be like, no, you did it on purpose.
Some part of your subconscious knew.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't on purpose. It was on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. It was funny because I was like, I need to write a standalone. Like, I want to write a standalone. Like, writing series is great. Pays the bills. But like, once you're on like the 3rd book in a series, you're like, I'm bored. It's the same world. It's the same characters, you know, like you want something new. And so I'm like, yes, this is technically the same world, but like a whole different ball game. Like it wasn't in the same place. I got to kind of make the Kincaid pack the protagonist a little, or antagonist a little bit, instead of, you know, I mean, they're still the good guys, but like from Quentin's perspective, they're not so nice sometimes. And so, yeah, I actually had a couple people who were like, I was getting real mad about Rick being a butthead. But then he redeems himself.
Right.
Well, obviously.
Right. You're like, come on, y'all. This is romance. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah.
Everyone's going to be happy in the end.
Yeah, that's the point, right?
Like, did you know when you were writing the last Kincaid book that you were going to do the Mobster's Mate? Because Quentin shows up very briefly in the end of that book.
Yes, it was like, I'm trying to remember exactly the order of. It was so long ago. I mean, it was like a year ago, but it feels like so long
many things
ago.
Have happened
yeah.
I knew I needed to get Rick and Gabriel, who were stranded in the middle of nowhere, back before, you know, certain people die. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone if they haven't read the series, which they should. Go read the Kincaid Pack series. But so I was like, okay, I need somebody to help solve this problem. Like, it wouldn't make sense for Gabriel to like carry Rick out of the woods for like 5 miles and then drive 6 hours back to where they belong. And, you know, they needed something more immediate. And so I was like, oh, you know what we need? We're near Chicago. They're kind of known for like mobsters and stuff. So like I had this idea in my head of this human who is very much aware of the parahuman world and uses it to his advantage to get rich, basically. And people don't like him, but sometimes they need him. And having him be the brother of Liam, the alpha of the Silver Oak Pack series, which was introduced in book 5, was just me being like, oh, this would be a great way to interconnect everything together. So, yeah.
Good.
It was sort of planned, and some things were sort of like, oh, that would just be a great idea. We'll pretend that I thought of that ahead of time.
And so you did.
Yeah. It was all intentional. It's canon now. You heard it first.
Exactly. Exactly.
I knew since book 1 that all of these things were totally going to happen.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yes.
Very believable.
But I mean, you must have been planning the next series for a while. If it was already, it was peaking. We were getting little glimpses of it even from the last book in the previous series.
I knew I wanted to do spin-offs of the series. Like, it's a very popular series. It is a world that would be very easy to play in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of different ideas for. I actually somewhere have like a little list I jotted down of like potential spin-offs and stuff. But this one actually came about when I was writing book 5, and the scene where they needed to meet like in a neutral location. I was like, I need to, and then I'm writing it and I'm like, these are kind of interesting characters. You put your like evil hat on, and I'm like, okay, let's amp it up a little bit more, you know, make them all cats. That's super intriguing. And, you know, the one guy has tattoos all over. That's always sexy. And
I mean, you're not wrong.
You know, like little things to get people like interested in it. And then,
the glimpse into the mind of a romance writer. Ooh, one guy has tattoos.
That's
I can align with that.
And he's book 1 because that's how you start.
That's how you get the attention.
Yes.
At least sleeveless, if not shirtless, on the cover of the book, tattoos visible.
Always start with a guy with tattoos. That's a good Kiki Clark quote.
That's going on a t-shirt.
Yes.
Also going on a t-shirt earlier, she was talking about Quentin and how like people don't like him, but sometimes they need him. I was like,
ooh, that's a good tagline.
TM.
Damn.
That's going on a t-shirt. I will wear it all the time.
Yep.
I didn't even.
That's my mantra.
Man, my brain. Like I didn't even pick that up. But yeah, that would.
Well, I related to it so intimately that I was like, that's good.
Yeah, that's
sometimes
good.
people don't like him, but sometimes they need him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Quentin.
Yep. Spoke right to my heart. Also in the mix between Mobster's Mate and Tempest, which comes out next week, I am also now recording the prequel for the Kincaid pack, a new pack for New Year.
Yes.
Now, where did that come from? Because all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, and here's this other book. And I was like, wait, what?
So this has been available for free to newsletter subscribers since like January 2021.
Okay.
I actually wrote it after I wrote the third book in the series. I didn't write it first. I'm not that smart. But I introduced Marcus's cousin in Marcus's book 3, and I was like, you know what I need? A way to funnel people into this series. And so yeah, I wrote a little prequel, and like people could get it if they sign up for my newsletter, and then they could read it and they'd be like, oh, I love these characters, and then just go and read the whole series.
Nice.
Yeah, that's top tier author marketing right there. That's awesome.
I
Very
try.
Strategic.
Yes.
I try, sometimes.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yes. And I mean, I guess I'm giving away that I haven't signed up for your newsletter because I was like,
wow, how dare you?
I'm sorry to disappoint.
You have how many Gmail accounts and you didn't sign up for my newsletter?
Sacrifice one.
Sorry, authors. I do not sign up for your newsletters. Do you know how many newsletters I would be getting if I signed up for every author's newsletter that I work with?
I know. Yeah.
No,
I used to be like really good about like signing up for people's newsletters and like keeping up with what they're doing. Now I'm like, my inbox is out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So I've started like unsubscribing like from people who like I see their stuff on social media all the time.
Yeah.
Like I probably don't need your newsletter also.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Because I think especially when you first get in the community and you're networking and stuff, you're like, bam, you're just signing up for everyone because you're trying to like make friends. And then like 5 years in, you're like, okay, listen, I talk to you every day. I don't need you. So yeah, I know that pain.
Yes. And I always tell people, I'm like, oh, when you're setting up your newsletter, sign up for other people's so that you know what to do. Like it'll give you ideas. And I'm like, I know what to do. Yeah, you're like, I'm done. My stuff's locked in. There's freebies. I know what I'm doing, y'all. Like, I don't need all the extra help. Yeah. So yeah. But I guess I'll try not to be offended that Kirt hasn't.
Well, okay. So listen, think of it this way though. Like my interaction with authors is work. Mm-hmm. So really, I just be signing up for another work email.
Right.
Like, is that what I need? That is not what I need. I don't need more.
It might give you a heads up when stuff's coming.
Well, I do follow like social media. Mm-hmm. So like I feel like I see the important stuff, but also sometimes I see things that they're like, oh, this is coming out and this audiobook is coming out from another narrator. And I'm like, well,
how dare.
So glad I'm aware of that. You know, so it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Because yes, I find out about things, but also sometimes I find out that other people are getting work, and that makes me very happy for those other people.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Your eyes say different, but we're going to move past.
Unless they're watching on YouTube, they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah. I wonder if my cover designer, who I use the one person most of the time, but sometimes you use somebody else, and I wonder if she feels the same way. Like, I didn't make that cover. How dare you?
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure, because it's totally like, it is like peak irrational human behavior.
Oh, yeah.
To be like offended.
That somebody's like furthering their business and like, you know, making choices for their business.
Employing somebody else who does the same thing I do?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that way too.
Unacceptable.
I don't get like, I'll be not invited to something I've done before, like an anthology. They get a different group of authors and I'm like, how dare you? I'm like, okay, but like, I don't write contemporary, so why am I mad about it? You know, it's just
right.
Yeah.
Or sometimes how readers will listen to somebody else's work. What are they doing?
No, they better not.
I have over 200 books.
Yeah, right. No.
They like
unacceptable behavior.
I can keep them busy for a long time. Why are they listening to anything else? I create so much content.
I know.
There's a back catalog. There's a lot of stuff.
I
mean, we are joking to a degree.
Yes, yeah.
Not the
we might
human.
have to cut this. People are going to think we're serious.
Right. Not the human part of like jealousy exists, and yes, the professional jealousy exists. But normally it's a knee-jerk reaction, and then you're like, all right, calm down, little goblin inside of me. Everything's fine.
Right. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. All right. So upcoming next week is Tempest, which is the first book in Silver Oak Pack. Tell us all about it, or what you can without spoiling.
The guy with tattoos.
I was like, okay, what can I say? It was my first time writing amnesia, which is not like a trope. Which I like. I don't even read amnesia tropes. Like it's not my thing. But it worked for this story because the Silver Oak Pack is isolated in a way the Kincaid Pack is not. They don't have a lot of visitors. They have like a town that is teeny tiny and it's just their pack, basically. Like they don't have a lot of humans that come and visit. They're very territorial. But that also means that their pack is stagnant in a way that the Kincaid Pack also isn't, and that they're having to deal with that and the repercussions of that. So, like, that'll be an ongoing theme of the series, but it definitely comes into play. It has to in book one, because Orr is an eagle shifter, a golden eagle shifter, and he flies into the territory injured, and once they heal him, he wakes up and he doesn't remember how he got there, what happened to him, anything. And like he knows his name and he knows that he is a shifter and stuff like that, but no details about his life. And so they're like, well, we can't really let you wander about, you know, you don't know who you are, but you also can't just wander about our pack. Like, people aren't going to like that. So he shacks up with one of the pack's enforcers and, you know, to keep an eye on him.
Yeah, as you do.
There's a lot of bed sharing and, you
know.
Oh, no.
That must be so awkward and uncomfortable.
Fun stuff like that. But yeah, so it was interesting to do a pack that's very different in a lot of ways than the last series was. You know, because in others it's very similar. Like, obviously they're shifters. Like, there's only so much difference you can have in that.
Fix it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. But having different issues than the Kincaid Pack did, and setting up like the new series arc for this one, which coincides with some of the things that were left unresolved in The Mobster's Mate.
Nice.
Cool.
Like,
so you mentioned magical tattoos. Is it the tattoos themselves are like runes and that's how they get the power? Or is it like magical ink, or does that spoil something?
I wouldn't say that's, well, I don't know. Some people consider like anything spoilers, but then they shouldn't be listening.
Yeah, right. Close your ears if you don't want to know. Just like when I saw magical tattoos, I was like, ooh, tell me more.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know how that works.
Yeah. So one of the coven members in the pack is a tattoo artist and is experimenting with ways to create tattoos that can be used to enhance your speed, your strength, your healing, stuff like that. And him and Cash are really good friends. And so Cash lets him experiment with different things on, like, with his tattoos and give him new ones, you know. And then, you know, no, I was going to say one more thing. I'm like, that would definitely be a spoiler.
Okay. Fair. Okay. Yeah. I don't need major plot points getting revealed and people getting mad. So, okay. I guess we'll have to just read and find out then.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely read and find out.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the concept of like tattoos as runes or magical enhancements played a part in Mobster's Maid as well.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And like that kind of gets discussed a little bit in Tempest, where like Quitten's witches have learned certain things from Jorge, the witch in the Silver Oak Pack, who's doing and experimenting with these things. And like now they're doing their own stuff. And a lot of it comes from like their need to protect Quitten because he's this human and he has no abilities. And so they
those
wanted
poor
to
defenseless
give him an
baby
edge.
humans.
Yeah. They're so cute, but what would they do without their shifters?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So they wanted to give him like this edge. And so yeah, but it's like the same kind of magic that just gets shared between the two groups.
Yeah. I loved that element in the book. I was like, yes, give the humans some powers.
Yeah.
I love that. Plus, I'm like a witchy boy, so like I love the witches. I love when they're out there doing their magic.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're doing their thing.
Yeah. It's such a cool enhancement to the story of like shifter stories. Like, I like it when there are more magical beings than just the one thing we're focusing on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Do you know, or do you at least think you know, how many books there will be in this series?
My goal is 4. I have 4 covers right now, and I know who those 4 people are going to be.
So there will be 7 books in the Silver Oak Pack. I'm calling it now.
Shut up. There is one. I don't know if I'm going to do it as part of the series or if it'll be like just like a standalone later. Because one of the enforcers, I really like her, and so I kind of want to write like her book as like an MMF book, and
you girls,
right?
That's your new catchphrase.
Yeah, that's also on my T-shirt.
Yeah.
You girls.
Like other than the awesome quote on the back, it's "Ooh, girls."
Yeah,
okay, fair.
Terrible. But yeah, so and because people do sometimes have that reaction, that's also like, man, it might not be a part of the series arc.
Right.
Because then if people don't want to read it, they're not forced to. But I just think she would be fun to write. There's a couple
go for it.
Yeah. Well, it's tricky though, and we could have a whole episode dedicated to this, but the crossover of MF and MM people is not as big as you think. There's people who
I
are
don't
just
think there is.
Yeah,
I say defy expectations.
Well, because
I'm here to sow chaos,
dude.
Plus,
for sure,
you're talking MMF. There's still the MM.
Yeah, but people
there's just also some lady parts.
Yeah, and I mean like. I'd be about that, but people who are very into the community, the book could not sell because people will just skip it, and then they'll get pissed off because it's required reading, and they don't want lady bits. You know what I mean? It's very frustrating.
That is it in a nutshell. Yeah. Like, do you do what you want and possibly alienate readers who have very strong feelings about how things should be, or do it separate so that anyone who wants to can read it, and if they don't, they don't. And it's funny because I had the same, not to the extent, but like the same idea when I did the 4th book in the Kincaid Pack, which is MMM, because there are people who are super not into that.
Yeah,
and
2 dicks only. They get mad.
Yes, they want 2 people. That's it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, but I really, like, it needs to be the 3 of them. I've already introduced this Gabriel character. People really like him, and Drake lost an arm. I can't just throw him out.
Right.
So I did it, and it's in the middle of a series, and it's in the middle of a series that has to be read in order, really, to be fully enjoyed and understood. And I was surprised by the lack of backlash. Like, I anticipated getting messages from people being like, I don't like this. Why did you write it this way? And having to be like, because I wanted to. biatch.
Yeah, right.
That's my angry email. I wouldn't actually do that, but I would just delete it. But I anticipated that, but did not get it. I actually had several readers tell me that was their first MMM book that they had read, and they actually really enjoyed it. And they're going to go look for more and see if it was just because they already liked the series or if they have discovered something new that they like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, when they're fated mates, you have no choice.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole point of the trope, right? Like, yeah, you can't.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is
what
true.
What were you supposed to do?
Yeah. That's how it works.
I know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
know.
people are just going to be mad about stuff. And also, I hate the fact that we do get angry emails and messages. Like, people will.
That's wild.
Dude,
to me.
it's not cool. I don't know why people do that.
Please don't write this book you already wrote.
Yeah. Or they're just like, well, I would have done it this way.
You should have done this, this, and this instead.
Yeah. I'm like, then write some fan fiction, dude. Have fun. Who cares? But yeah, no, they feel so compelled.
Like, it's too late, right, sir?
And
I'm
also-
saying sir, even though I know that like 4 men read romance in the world. But
That's not
but they're
true.
also the ones most likely to tell you you're doing something wrong.
Oh, that is true. Yeah.
Like, sir, you do realize the book is already written. This is
done.
doing nothing. You're contributing nothing to the situation except for ire and discontent.
People are wild, man.
It's so
and that's another
weird
t-shirt.
to me.
You're contributing nothing to the situation but ire and discontent.
We gotta start writing this shit down. This is all
Right? That's
good,
a lot of
good
t-shirts
t-shirts.
just in this episode.
Right?
But yeah, it is weird to me. And I do think it's because we're indie authors, and so we have to be more accessible in certain ways on like social media and stuff. And it fosters this idea that
You're seeking feedback.
Yeah, I think. It fosters the idea that I think that we're approachable, or like that barrier is gone, because I never in my wildest dreams would have like messaged Anne Rice and been like, "You fucked up." Be like, no, but like indie authors, they feel like they're right there. Like it's somebody who you could usually, if you do send them a message, they at least see it. Like you can see that. So the internet's mean. So they're like, I want you to know you messed up.
Yeah. I want you to know how much I hated this book.
Yeah. And I wish I could like put myself in a situation where I can just be like either overly kind back or like witty, but I usually just get upset and delete it. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that ever warrants a response.
No, it really doesn't. Like that's just get rid of them.
Because that type of person, God, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I know, we got off track like hardcore.
Because that type of person, like they're not actually trying to be constructive.
Yeah.
They're not trying to make a better future. They're seeking attention.
Yeah.
And so if you, even if you send a nice response or a nasty response, it doesn't matter. They got the attention they were looking for. I say if you get those types of emails and you can tell in the first sentence it's one of those, you just say thank you and goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way to go.
Goodbye. Yeah.
I'm sure we all have people in our lives who we trust to tell us if we're making big mistakes.
Yeah.
And those are the people allowed to tell us things like that.
Yeah.
And random strangers from the internet do not get that kind of control over our lives.
Yes, agree. 100%.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't get a ton, but a friend of mine gets so many. And I'm like, I don't know what it is about you. Apparently you're too nice and approachable because people
be a little meaner.
Safe, like sending these DMs saying things that are you would never say to somebody like face to face. You would never walk up to them at a convention or signing or whatever and be like, I liked all of your books except for this one for these 7 reasons. Let me go into detail.
Yeah. I wouldn't even know what to do if somebody came up to my table and was just like, your books are trash. I'd be like, okay. You want a sticker? Yeah, I don't know.
I'd be like, so do you want to buy one or no? Okay,
right.
Move on.
Well, clearly they already did.
Yeah.
So it's like, well,
thank you for the $7.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else our listeners should know about Silver Oak Pack before it comes out next Tuesday?
There is a prequel. It was in the Fated Mates anthology.
Ooh.
I am expanding it a smidge, and that's why it's not available yet, because Tempest took up all of my brain and longer than I thought it would. So I'm I'm now working on that, expanding that, because it was only like 15, 16K for the anthology. I kept it real short. So I'm probably going to like double it. That's what I have like outlined. And then that'll be available to newsletter subscribers, Kirt.
Nice.
All right.
So go subscribe, Kirt.
She has a newsletter, folks. Yes. You heard it here first.
Kirt won't get it. He doesn't get my newsletter, but anyone else.
Yeah.
I am active. Listen, we live in Wisconsin and it is a presidential election year. So we are actively unsubscribing to things all the time.
Michigan.
That's fair.
6 or 7 times a day, I am texting stop.
Yeah.
So,
yes. I literally just did like 8 of those earlier. I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is not how to get my money. Like, you can't annoy me into donating.
No.
Send me like a fruit basket and we'll talk. You know what I mean? Like you.
That might defeat the purpose.
Well,
I mean, I'd at least pay attention. On the fruit basket.
I'm just saying.
They want our vote more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they want to. Half the people, not even half, 90% of the people texting me, I can't even vote for.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. All right,
Once you get on.
I was going to say, this is a tangent we're not going to go on.
Yeah, we're spiraling hard.
Once you get on the list, though, like it just gets shared with all of them.
Mm-hmm. Which authors do not do. I think that's an important thing to say.
Yeah, we don't do that because
if you sign up for one person's newsletter, you're not going to suddenly start getting a bunch of other ones. You guys aren't out there selling newsletter lists to each other.
Because we're not garbage.
We like to follow the law.
Yeah, exactly. We're nice. Just to, we're just normal people. We're not trying to shake you down.
Normal might be a stretch.
Listen, we're doing our best.
Based on the sample size I've seen.
We have very vivid hallucinations, so I don't know how normal we are.
That you take a long time to sit down and write out. Mm-hmm. That's a great way to describe writing a book.
Yeah.
We have vivid hallucinations for several months, and we write them all down.
I think that sounds rad.
Basically, yeah.
Thank you to Kiki for talking with us about her work. And as a reminder, you can snag Tempest, the first book in the new Silver Oak Pack series, on Tuesday, April 9th.
Just around the corner.
Audio coming soon.
Yes.
So, wherever you're listening to the podcast, if there is a way to rate and review the show, please do so. And as always, we'd love to hear from you via hoofandfangpodcast@gmail.com or any of our social media channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And we will be back next week with our interview with author J.P. Rhineflesh.
Mm-hmm. We'll see you then.
Bye-bye.